So today's gospel, this is the first time, the only time really, that Jesus is traveling into new territory. I heard that in my prayer this morning. We're going into new territory. What do you mean by that? And a lot of times we tend to think of it's out there. He's talking about here, places within us that we don't want to look at, that we tend to run from. Jesus today is going into Gentile territory. Jews did not do that. They had to keep their distance. I don't know if you've ever been on a plane with an Orthodox Jew. It's a little odd. They still have a lot of those restrictions. You know, they can only, especially women. Sorry, Kathy, but I had a lady sit next to me on the way to the Holy Land last year. No, she was sitting next to an Orthodox Jew, and he went up to the flight attendant and said, I need a different seat. I can't sit next to her. And she got kind of hurt, and I was like, don't take it personal. It's just part of their... So Jesus, the thing I love about Jesus, I said this yesterday, the guy's fearless. He's a Jew. He knows the rules. He knows all the restrictions, the 6 feet stuff and the wearing a mask. He knows all the, as a Jew, he'd probably used to be this, a lot of restrictions. And Jesus, what he does, he comes into our world and he loves to remove barriers between us and them. And so today, he's taking these 12 men with him. It's on-the-job training. He's taking these 12 Jewish men into Gentile territory, into Canaanite territory. It says, Matthew says, a Canaanite woman. So 2 strikes. She's not only a non-Jew, but she's a woman. And she approaches Jesus. And she says, have pity on me, Lord, Son of David. He did not say a word to her. Well. Doesn't seem very lovey-dovey to me. But just the fact that he's taking them into this territory, he's teaching them something about the future, that salvation is going to be for all people. It's not going to be us versus them anymore. Jesus is he is a restorer. He's a restorer of breaches. He wants to bring down divisions. And boy, do we need that today in our church and in our nation, our world, don't we? Look at the divisions. It's us versus them. The Republicans versus Democrats. This versus that. And Jesus wants to come into all that and say, no more of that. We're going into new territory. We're going to go into territory maybe that we don't want to go into. Why? To bring restoration. He wants us to go into new territory, places within my heart that maybe I don't want to face. So what does he do? In taking them into this territory, he's having them face their own hatred towards the Canaanite. The Canaanite people were ancestral enemies of the Jews. So think of a place in Omaha that you would not find yourself caught dead in. Think of that place in Omaha that you would imagine Jesus saying, hey, we're going to go into this part of Omaha. What you talking about, Willis? What's Jesus trying to do? He wants you to face your fears. Remember what he did with Jonah? He told Jonah to go to the Ninevites. So who are the Ninevites? Oh, those people. Oh. Those of you Republicans, he may say to you, I want you to go to those radical Democrats and hang out with them, or maybe it's the other way around. In other words, Jesus challenges us to face those things within us we don't want to face so that he can bring healing and restoration to the body of Christ and to the world. Imagine being with these 12 men, and just look at the 12 men themselves. Look at the difference among them. You got Matthew, who's a tax collector. Peter's a zealot. You know what a zealot is? Those are trained assassins of people like Matthew. And they have to live together, camp out together. I mean, if I was Matthew, I'd have one eye open every night in my tent. Make sure he's not going to come in and stick a knife in my back. Jesus wants to bring down barriers within me and within you that divide us. And then he wants to teach them, he's teaching them how to love people where they are. How to love this woman who's a non-Jew, a Gentile. Now, Jesus is kind of playing hard to get here. I mean, he's really making her work at this. 3 times she keeps going, she keeps persevering. And then he says, I was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And then she went and did him harm and said, Lord, help me. She's begged, please, Lord, help me. And then Jesus calls her a dog. It's not right to take the food of the children and throw it to the dogs. That's what they called the Gentiles, dogs. Kind of an insult to them. Now, he probably said it with a little tone in his voice, so it kind of softened it up a little bit. But he was speaking like a Jew would speak to him. And then she says, please, Lord, even the dog. This lady just does not give up, does she? She says, please, Lord, even the dogs get some scraps. You ever feel that way in your prayer? Lord, could you just give me some scraps? You know, I'm just, please, throw me a bone, something. You know, you pray, and just like all you hear is crickets. You ever had that experience in your prayer? Just like, it doesn't seem like God's doing anything. Seems like he's kind of blowing me off like he's doing with this woman. But he's trying to teach me something in all that. He's trying to teach me to persevere and to pray, believing that God will answer your prayers. God will help you to face the fears that are within you. God is going into new territory. We, as a nation, as a church, we are now in new territory we've never traveled before. Not us in this life. I haven't. He's got us in new territory. He's got us in a place of uncertainty. We don't know what the future holds. I think this is a harvest. We have such a rich harvest now. This is a harvest out there that is so rich to evangelize. This is an opportunity for us to sit down and talk about our differences rather than throwing bricks and all this other stuff, right? It's an opportunity. Jesus wants us to take this opportunity to look at our differences, to be willing to look at my fears and my insecurities, to be willing to look at myself first, rather before I point fingers at other people. Right? And that's what we're doing in our country today. We're throwing firebombs and bricks and everything else, and we're just hating on each other. And Satan loves that. They hated these people. The Jews hated it, and they hated the Jews. And yet Jesus takes these 12 Jewish men right into the enemy's territory. He's teaching them, hey, I've came for these people too. I love these people too. You do? Ugh. Those people? You know those people. You know who they are. You got those people. You know those people. You watch them on the news, you go, you know those people? I can't name people. I'll get, no. You know those people. And God lately, he's been doing this to me lately. Like, hey, stop. Have you ever thought about praying for those people? Oh, well, those people, they hate me. They who I stand for. Yeah, but I love them. I love them. They're just lost. Look what Jesus says. I come here for the lost sheep of Israel. They're just lost. Think about it. Have you ever thought of it that way? The people you see that are just full of hatred, they're lost. That's all. They just lost their way. They don't know the love of God. They haven't met him yet. They haven't had that encounter with Jesus, because if they had, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. So how do they come to know the love of God? Through you, through me, through people who are willing to listen and sit down and chat with them if they're willing to talk and work things out and pray with them and show them the love of Jesus. And I've talked to some of you. You don't have to go out in the streets to find them. Some of these people live in your house. I was talking to somebody the other day. They said, oh my gosh, if I bring up anything like this, my kid just goes crazy on me because they know my position. But I think it's just learning to is Jesus is teaching us. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to face yourselves. Don't be afraid to bring to me the bitterness and hatred you have in your own hearts. Because, it's easy for me to say, hey, those people have a lot of hatred. Well, there's probably hatred in my heart if I look in my own heart. There's prejudice in my heart. Jesus wants to bring restoration and healing to our country, to our church. Our church is divided too, has been since day one. 40,000, over 40,000 Christian denominations. I'd say we're just a little bit divided, but that's where you and I come into play. Jesus is calling you into new territory. He's calling us to get out of our little comfort zones, the pews. I think this is the easy part here. He's calling us to go out into the peripheries, to go in those parts of Omaha maybe you've never been into, but more importantly, he's calling you to look into the places within our own hearts that we avoid. And he wants us to know that he loves you right where you are. And he wants to heal and restore you first and foremost. Please stand.